When you look into the crevices of cathedrals and you listen, do you hear echoes of Pessoa, Gaudi, Mrs. Dalloway, and Leonardo da Vinci? Well, Kamand Kojouri does. Good morning. Welcome to Lost for Words, where we explore great women poets. I'm Sarah Woods, and today we are exploring the poetry of Miss Kamand Kojouri. God, does humanity exist? In this chapter, it's called The Songs of Hope, and I'm really excited to explore this chapter. Let's see. Okay, so this poem, it's called Cities, and it's on page 32. And I love this poem. It talks about some different famous people's cities in the beginning of the poem. And to me, that's sort of romantic, like thinking about these people's, the cities that they come from, or cities where they're well known. Or cities where their characters came to life. But I feel like in this poem, Kamand Kojouri said something that I didn't agree with. And I was like, she told me that I see these people in every crevice and hear their echo in every cathedral. And I had this moment when I was reading the poem and I was like, actually, I don't see these people in every crevice, and I don't hear their echo in every cathedral. But it made me curious why she would say that. And so it sent me on a little journey of exploration about these people and what they have to do with cathedrals. All right, here we go. Cities by Kamand Kojouri, page 32. Lisbon, to me, is the Lisbon of Pessoa, just like London is Woolf's, or rather, Miss Dalloway's. Barcelona is Gaudi's, and Rome is Da Vinci's. You see them in every crevice and hear their echo in every cathedral. I'd like to be the child, or rather the mother of a city, but I neither have a home nor a resting place. My race is humankind. My religion is kindness. My work is love, and well, my city is the walls of your heart. Whenever I started reading this, I was like, I have vague ideas of who some of these people are. Pessoa, I knew as a poet. Woolf, I knew she's like a great feminist writer. Gaudi, I had no idea who Gaudi was. And then Leonardo da Vinci, of course, painted the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper. I guess I'd like to extend that sentence out to you YouTubers who are watching. Do you do you see these people in every crevice and hear their echo in every cathedral? Is that true for you? Is this true just for Kamand Kojouri? Is it true for all of us? So I discovered our Portuguese poet, Fernando Pesela, has a poem. This is like the one thing that I could find doing like a decently quick research. Is I found a poem by him. It's called "O Church Bell in My Village," and it's a really beautiful poem, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, "O church bell in my village, plaintive in the evening calm, your tolling ever calls awake an echo in my soul, So slow and lingering is your rhythm, so sad, as if on life's account, that the first stroke of the sequence has a sound already heard. However near to me you ring, when I pass by, ever wandering, you seem to me to be a dream, in my soul a far-off echo. At every sounding stroke of yours, throbbing through the cloudless sky, I feel the past is further off, and longing ever nearer. So here is Fernando Pessoa, this Portuguese poet, and he's written, the one thing I could find associated with him is this poem about the church bell in his village, and it kind of has like this nostalgic like feel to it, like where he's sort of cherishing his village and this church bell that rings, and it says that when it rings, its tolling calls awake an echo in his soul. So it's like this deep connection. I really love the idea of a church bell like ringing and it feeling like a far off, like a dream or a far off echo in your soul. Like that's a very, like, I feel like I can feel that in my whole body. Tolls, like it throbs throughout a like clear sky, and he says that it causes the past to get further away and longing to grow ever nearer. So it's like, what is he longing for? So that is Fernando Pessoa. I feel like that if you know this poem by him, I feel like when you're in a church or a cathedral that has, you know, the bells that ring, that you could hear those bells and think of this poem. Okay, so number 2, our next person is Virginia Woolf and her character of her book, Mrs. Dalloway. So, you know, what I knew of this book was it was like sort of a stream of consciousness book that Virginia Woolf is sort of known as being like this, like a feminist writer, and that was about all I knew about it. So when I looked her up, I was trying to find what the heck she's got going on that has to do with church or a cathedral, and this is an excerpt from the book. Then, while a seedy-looking, nondescript man carrying a leather bag stood on the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral and hesitated, for within was what balm, how great a welcome, how many tombs with banners waving over them, tokens of victories, not over armies, that plaguey spirit of truth-seeking, which leaves me at present without a situation. And more than that, the cathedral offers company, he thought, invites you to membership of a society. Great men belong to it. Martyrs have died for it. Why not enter in, he thought. Put this leather bag stuffed with pamphlets before an altar, a cross, the symbol of something which has soared beyond seeking and questioning and knocking of words together and has become all spirit, disembodied, ghostly. Why not enter in, he thought, and while he hesitated, out flew the airplane over Ludgate Circus. So in this little excerpt, and with what little we actually know about this character from what we've just read here, you can feel this character's, like this tension that they're having between like a desire to go in the church and thinking about all the things the church might have to offer, but then this like hesitancy as they look up in the sky and they see this airplane that maybe is supposed to represent maybe something of the world. It's a commercial plane or a war plane. I feel like that gives the airplane a lot of different feelings. I know when I think of airplane, I think of like opportunity and traveling and adventure and seeing the world, which could be one commercial aspect of a plane. But then there's the war side of a plane where it's used, to bring soldiers to other countries, to bring bombs to different lands. So you feel this tension with this character between what's happening up in the sky, what's happening in his city, and his desires being pulled in two different places. A tension between ideas like healing, community, the cross, and truth-seeking, freedom, and what the world has to offer, and things like war, and maybe trying to bring two realities together that don't quite fit. Yeah, if you've read Mrs. Dalloway, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, so the next person that she says that you hear in every crevice in every cathedral is Barcelona's Gaudi. And I was like, I have no idea who this is. And so I looked him up, and he's actually an architect. And he, where's my book? I need my book. Let's see. Okay, his name is Antoni Gaudi, and he is the architect and designer of the Sagrada Familia Basilica in Spain, which is this incredibly beautiful basilica in Spain that, when I was reading about, is actually inspired by its design on the inside is inspired by an upright tree. That was very easy to see how he's connected to, cathedrals, and how you could hear his echo in a cathedral. I think this is one of the most famous basilicas in Spain, and so he's inspired lots of other architects throughout time. But that one was really fun to me because I didn't know who he was. When I read his name, I didn't know if he was a writer, a poet, or what he was. And so to find out he was an architect and then actually see the images of this basilica was really amazing. So, okay, the last person, she says, in Rome is Da Vinci's. So I was like, okay, so what of Da Vinci do you hear in cathedrals, and here in, what do you see of Da Vinci in every crevice and an echo in every cathedral? When I started looking up Da Vinci, I feel like he actually has designs for some cathedrals, but I don't think they ever got realized. I don't think. But I was like, okay, does he have any paintings in a cathedral? And the only one that I was finding that was actually a part of a cathedral is the Last Supper, which is next to the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie in Milan. So I feel like the Last Supper, that's like one of the most popular paintings. I think it's one of the most reproduced paintings. And yeah, I feel like that, for me, that is something I can see someone thinking of when they walk into a cathedral. That story of Jesus sitting around the table with all of his disciples and sharing their, that last meal together. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people have connected with that painting over time. So for me, that one was okay, yeah, I get that one. But to me, that was so much fun. Thank you, Kamand, for giving me little things to go explore and discover. And I don't know if what I found was what you intended for me to find. But either way, I had a lot of fun trying to make connections between these people and cathedrals. But anyway, we'll stop there with that sentence. So Isn't it funny? Like, you see them in every crevice and hear their echo in every cathedral. And I did not hear these people in every cathedral. But now that I've explored these people a little bit, I have a feeling I would not be able to go into a cathedral now without thinking about some of these people. Now that I've read this poem and explored these people. The reason I decided to explore this poem in the first place was because I really liked, in the beginning, she said, Lisbon to me is the Lisbon of Pessoa, just like London is Woolf's, or rather Miss Dalloway's. Barcelona is Gaudi's, and Rome is Da Vinci's. You see them in every crevice and hear their echo in every cathedral. So when she talks about she associates these cities with these people, and I really like that idea of like where you're born, the place that you work, the places that you travel, like leaving this like imprint in you and becoming a part of you, and the places that you take residence, becoming, like when we look back at their work, we don't just think of them, we think of their countries and their cities. But I love that. Like, it feels very colorful to me. It feels very like you can feel culture involved in these artists, like in who they are. But then she says, I would like to be the child, or rather the mother of a city. I feel like we all are children of, if not a city, but cities, because, or towns, or countries, like wherever the place that you're born, like from the moment you're born, the places you travel have like an imprint on who you are, because they're like, you know, that culture in those places is helping to create who you are, and your thoughts, and then like how you see that culture around you, and then you go to another culture and then you have to compare, and it creates new ideas in your head about who you are in relation to these places. Like, I know, like, I was born in a small town, and that town, very much, like, the people in it have a big imprint on who I am. Like, I grew up in going to a church, a specific church, my whole life. That church has a very big imprint on me. You know, going to college, its ideas has a big imprint on me. Traveling, like going to Hawaii, Brazil, Guatemala, Mexico, those places have an imprint in me, of having to make connections between these places, these ideas, these cultures. And you kind of like I come away richer with like music, food, ideas, like visions of landscapes in my head of what houses can look like what the inside of a house can look like from country to country can look so different. So I feel like we all are children, if not of a city, but of cities, the places that we've been, the places that have raised us, or that's how I feel. But she also says she'd like to be the mother of a city, which I think is a really interesting. I love that like visual of like this like woman like in this city, like her like holding it up to her chest, like, and then you like have visions of a mother, and like that's not just like, oh, I love you. Like, that mother is like feeding that city. That mother is working for that city. That mother is losing sleep over that city, is worn out at the end of the day for that city. And so there's like a loyalty to that city. If you're the mother of a city and you're a good mother, yeah, I feel like there's a loyalty to that place. And I don't know, I think maybe I like ideal kind of images like that. So I really like the idea of, you know, a person like being that loyal to a place. But I feel like for the end of this poem, she says, "But I neither have a home nor a resting place. My race is humankind, my religion is kindness, my work is love, and well, my city is the walls of your heart." To me, this end of this poem feels very like idealistic and very like it feels like she took herself out of anything that labels her or makes her specific in any way and spread herself out like, my race is humankind. Like, I am born of everyone. Her religion, isn't specific. It's kindness. Her work isn't like, a specific thing. It's love. These are ideas. And well, my city is the walls of your heart. So I don't know if she means like the reader's heart or if she means like the world's heart. But to me, I find this very interesting. And when I read it, there's part of me, this is terrible, Kamand Kojouri, you're gonna not like, I feel like you're not gonna like what I say. But I'm like, oh, that can't be true. I know it's like ideal and it's like this like love everybody, you're a part of everybody, and we kind of are, like that's sort of like that we sort of are this, like this is ideal in a way. But like to me, like when I think of Kamand Kojouri, I don't think of this like, when I think of her, I don't think of this woman who has like erased all of her places or who is I don't know. I guess when I think of her, I guess because I know the places that she's from and that she's lived and that have helped make her, like Iran, Dubai, Canada, Wales, like these are all like really interesting places that I have not lived and have not poured into me. And so when I think of her, I'm like, oh, like how fascinating, she must be, like having experienced these places, having been like, not forged, like, but like created in these places, like who she is has been made in these places, and like the places that she's studied, like these ideas she's had to grapple with. Like to me, when I think of her, I think of this like very colorful person who's like rich with this like history that is like that she's growing up out of. And like, I guess, like not having a home nor a resting place. I feel like, okay, like literally, like you can be like, I don't feel connected to one specific place. Like the whole world is my home. But I also like to think of like our bodies as our home and our resting place. Like it's the place our spirit resides, and like everything that's made who we are, like we carry with us everywhere. Like I feel like kind of like we are our own homes in a way. But I know she's talking about like when she thinks of cities, I guess, that she doesn't have a home or a resting place. Like, so she's sort of, you get this picture of like a nomadic spirit that like keeps moving along to a new place, sort of. And she's saying her race is humankind, which I like in one sense, like I agree with. I don't actually know the definition of race now that I'm thinking about it. But like I feel like race is like, we can have a humankind race, but like we do, like when you think of race, I feel like you think of like, what I do, I think of like our features that make us unique. I think of our language and like, I don't know, I feel like I think of something really beautiful. So in one way, I really like that, like my race is humankind, because it connects all of us. But I, at the same time, don't like it because I feel like it erases a lot of our like uniqueness. My work is love. To me, that sounds very. This reminds me of something like I would say, like, or would have said at some point, or probably will say at some point, because it's very like, this is my aspiration, this is my goal, this is my ideal goal, is for my work to be love. That like everything that you do, for it to be out of love, which I think is very like beautiful and ideal. But I guess I feel like I feel like I've learned a lot about myself over the years, and have discovered that like I can make a statement like that, but in reality there's like all kinds of things happening inside of me, that like parts of me that are selfish and hungry and like that are controlling and manipulative, and like that there's a darker part of me that has things that like it's interested in. And then there's also a part of me that's like, okay, like, well, how can I make all these things submit to love? But like this human experience, I feel like that's quite messy and crazy. Like, so to me, these statements are very like ideal and like, would be really nice. But to me, they aren't very complete, I guess. But then she says, and well, my city is the walls of your heart. To me, that I love you, Kamand Kojouri. You're like a girl after my own heart, because you're that's very idealistic and like okay. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like, that sounds really like lovely. Like what does it say? My city is the walls of your heart. Like, who is this you? Is this you only the people who like are like doing good and who are sweet and kind and like who want to live peaceably with everybody? I mean, does it include like, my city is the walls of your heart, like this you, this whole world, like that also includes the part of humanity that's like greedy and desperate for power over their own lives, the part of humanity that like has a desire for revenge, that has a desire to be on top and not be on the bottom, the desire to always have more. Like, I guess so. I'm like, if you're the city of my, what does it say? My city is the walls of your heart. That when you look out at humanity and even at yourself, like that, if your city is the walls of other, if your city is the walls of other people's hearts, then to me, like, that is not just an ooey gooey, like, yummy feeling. Like, that is a very messy thing. Like, because you're dealing, if all the people of the world are the city of my, is the walls, my city is the walls of your heart. If like, if I dwell inside every person in this world, then, like, not only am I dwelling in their, like, beauty, their love, their desire to be together, I'm also, like, a part of their misery and their, like, just the darker part of them, the sadder part of them, the desperate part of them, the lustful part of them, the angry part of them. Like, there's so much more. I guess to me, this is like a really, like, blanketed little thing that sounds really beautiful, but underneath all that, there is something much more messy about humankind than I feel like is encapsulated in that little statement. Okay, so obviously I'm in a new outfit and this is a different day. So I had to come back and record this extra little clip because I've been sitting with this poem, Cities by Kamand Kojouri. And when I first encountered this poem, it felt like it sent me on this, like, long journey of, like, a very specific part of the poem, because I think maybe I wasn't as familiar with these people as Kamand was. And it's funny, now that I've had some time for it to sit with me, I realized, I was looking at it this morning and I was like, this poem has a simplicity to it that I feel like my explorations sort of like complicated. And as I was looking at it, I was like, oh, basically this is like, there's very much a simplicity to this poem, a desire inside this poem. And I realized I was sort of like on the edge of it, but not quite getting it. And what I realized is what she is describing in this poem. She goes through these four people. Pessoa, he's a poet. Woolf, she creates Mrs. Dalloway. She writes novels. And then Gaudi, it's an architect, Sagrada Familia in Spain. And Vinci, he lived in the Vatican in Rome. And so I'm imagining her traveling to these places, knowing about these people, and everywhere she goes, whether it's a crevice or a cathedral, not that the cathedral is necessarily the focal point of that sentence, it's more that everywhere she goes, she can feel these people's presence because they're so well known for their work in those cities. And, you know, when you're famous for your work, your hometown can become very like this, like, kind of like sacred place where people go to, like, discover you after you're dead, you know. And I feel like the thing that I missed is that she, all these people, all these famous people who are like amazing artists and writers and architects, like, they're still famous today even after they're dead. When you go to their cities, you can feel them there when you go there. She doesn't feel like she has a home or a resting place. And she is saying that my race is humankind, my work is love, and well, my city is the walls of your heart. I suddenly realized, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, if she is going to be well known in a place or famous for something, she doesn't want, or not that she doesn't want to be famous for her, like, poetry, her architecture, her, you know, novels, or her, you know, whatever, painting, her work. If she's famous for a work, if she goes down in history as being remembered in a place, she wants to be remembered in our hearts. and she wants to be remembered for the work of love. Which, Kamand Kojouri, thank you for being patient with me as I went on this journey through your poem. I feel like there was something much more simple there, and it just, I think maybe because I wasn't as familiar with these people, I wasn't catching what she was throwing down. And so when she said I could hear them in every cathedral, I thought, I'm like, what do they have to do with cathedrals? And I feel like I sort of missed the point of the poem, which was more like these people are so famous for their work in their cities. When you go there, you can feel them everywhere. And then here she is. She wants the work that she's remembered for to be love, and she wants it to be remembered in other people's hearts, not necessarily in a city or whatever. So anyway, I just feel like I hope you enjoyed my journey, and I'm really sorry that it took me so long to get to that. I feel like that was much more simple than I made this out to be. But I feel like it sent me on a journey of discovering these people a little bit more, and which was very fun. But it just took me a while to actually get to like her heart in this poem, I feel like. I don't think I was quite getting it. So thank you for your patience, Kamand Kojouri. I hope it was a fun journey. And I'm gonna let myself go now, and I think I've already said goodbye another time. So I hope, Kamand Kojouri, I hope this is a fun discussion for you, and I hope I hope you're okay with my freedom of like bouncing around inside ideas inside your poem, and then it's brought up questions and like, what do I think about this? But I feel like really that's what poetry, it's good for poetry to do that because it makes you think. And so I feel like I appreciate this poem very much because I feel like it made me think about so many things, and it made me like really dig and be like, do I really agree with that? Do I really agree with that? Is that me or is that her? And I think that's a good thing. I think anything that can make you like examine yourself and examine the world and your relationship to it, I feel like that's a good poem. So thank you. But anyway, this has been a really long exploration, but it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And next week will be our last week exploring the poetry of Kamand Kojouri. And it's her section on, this was Songs of Hope. Next week it's going to be her section on Echoes of Hope, which I really like that phrase. So anyway, I will see you again next time. Have a great week. Goodbye.